Right now, you can flick a lighter or twist a stove dial, and a flame appears in your hand without a flicker of fear. So ask yourself this: why are you the only one on Earth who walks toward fire instead of running from it? Every wild animal is terrified of that flame. A deer bolts at the first wisp of smoke. A wolf flees a wildfire before it can even see it. A lion, an animal that fears almost nothing, turns and runs from a wall of flame. Fire is the oldest warning signal in the natural world, and it means one thing to everything that lives out there: death. But you lean over it, you feed it, you sleep beside it, and you cook your dinner on top of it. You conquered the one thing the whole living world is built to escape, and you did it so completely that you never even think about it. But for 99.9% of human history, that was not normal. That was impossible. For most of the time people have existed, walking toward fire should have gotten you killed. So what changed? What made the very people who should have feared that flame the most decide to stay and reach for it? To understand that, you have to go back to a night colder and darker than anything you have ever survived. Picture the world Flint wakes into. The sun drops behind the ridge, and the temperature falls with it, fast and hard, until the air bites through the thin fur across his shoulder. There is no glow on the horizon, no distant town, no soft light anywhere. There is only black, so complete that he cannot see his own hand. And in that black, he is nearly blind, while everything hunting him is not. The big cats around him see in this darkness as clearly as you see in daylight. They smell his sweat from far across the valley. They hear his heartbeat before he hears their footsteps. Out here, the night is not rest. The night is the hours you are most likely to be dragged away and eaten. So Flint kneels over a small pile of glowing embers, the last of a flame he has kept alive all day. He feeds it a curl of dry bark, then a slim broken branch, and it climbs. Warmth washes over his face. Light pushes the dark back, just a few steps, into a fragile ring around him. And here's the strange thing: everything else in this valley is fleeing something exactly like this flame. The wolves, the deer, the great cats. The same fire that terrifies all of them is the only reason Flint is still breathing at dawn. But no instinct hands out that gift for free. Every living thing is wired to run from fire. So how did people ever cross the very line that keeps the whole animal world away? Start with the wall Flint has to cross, because that fear of fire is not something learned. It is wired in from birth, and it runs through almost every creature that walks, crawls, or flies. A young animal that has never once seen a flame will still panic at the first thread of smoke drifting on the wind. Nobody teaches it that. The dread arrives before the danger does, because the creatures that froze near fire never lived long enough to leave any young behind. So the instinct is total. Smoke means run, and run now, in the opposite direction, as fast as your legs will carry you. And that instinct is correct. Fire is not a warm friend when it is loose in the world. It is a roaring, spreading thing that swallows dry grass faster than a person can sprint, that fills the lungs with choking smoke, that leaves nothing but black ground and bone behind it. Walking toward that should end you. Now picture where Flint first meets it. A storm breaks over the plain, and a single bolt of lightning strikes the dry grass, and the whole ridge catches. This is the only fire that exists in his world. No one made it. It simply fell from the sky, wild and enormous, and utterly out of his control. Every wild animal on that plain is already running from it, and Flint stops. His body screams at him to flee with the rest. But something in him leans the other way, toward the heat, toward the light, toward the one thing everything alive is built to escape. And that raises the hardest question of all. What could possibly be worth staying for? What was worth staying for was control. Flint does not put that wildfire out, and he does not run. He reaches in with a dead branch, catches a single flame on the end of it, and carries a piece of the sky in his own hand. That is the moment everything shifts. The fear does not vanish, but it stops being the master. He learns to feed the flame the way you feed a fragile thing, a curl of bark, a dry twig, then a thicker branch, coaxing it to live without letting it grow too big to hold. He learns to bank the embers so a spark survives the night, ready to wake at dawn. He is no longer a creature fleeing fire. He is the first creature keeping it, and this is not a guess. At Wonderwerk Cave in South Africa, archaeologists found burned bone and ash deep inside the cave, far from any lightning strike, in layers dated to roughly 1 million years ago. That is some of the oldest solid evidence anywhere on Earth of people controlling fire on purpose, tending it, using it, choosing to keep it burning. And that single skill rewrote the entire day. The flame becomes a wall of light and heat that the great cats will not cross, a ring of safety no den of stone could ever match. Now Flint can lie down inside that ring and actually close his eyes, while the eyes in the dark stay back, refusing to step into the glow. Warmth, safety, a night he can finally survive. It should be enough. But there is a second use of this flame, one Flint has not discovered yet, that will matter far more than staying warm. But warmth and safety were only the beginning. One day a scrap of meat slips near the flame, and the smell that rises off it stops Flint cold. He pulls it back, holds it over the heat, and watches it change. The tough red flesh softens and browns, the fat sizzles, and when he tears into it, it gives way like it never did before. This is the real prize, the thing that makes the fire worth every terror he crossed to reach it. Because raw food is a hard bargain. In this world, calories are everything, and there are never enough of them. A raw root is a knot of tough fiber that takes a whole day of chewing to break down, and half its energy passes straight through you, wasted. Raw meat is stringy and slow to digest, and it can carry sickness that leaves a person weaker than before they ate. Flint spends huge stretches of every day just chewing, jaw aching, stomach working, and still coming up short. But the flame changes the math. Heat softens the fibers before they ever reach his mouth, so his teeth cut through in a fraction of the time. It breaks the food down on the outside, so his body pulls far more energy out of every single bite. It kills the things hiding in raw meat that used to make him ill. He roasts a haunch on a stick, buries roots in the hot ash, and eats in minutes what once cost him hours. For the first time, a body could take in more energy than it burned, just trying to survive, and that surplus was about to do something to the human body that no one saw coming. But here is what almost nobody tells you. That flame did not just change what Flint ate that night. It slowly changed his body from the inside out. Think about what cooking actually does. When heat breaks food down before it is swallowed, it does part of the work of digestion outside the body, before the stomach ever touches it. That means a body no longer needs a huge, heavy gut grinding away for hours to squeeze energy out of tough, raw material, and a gut is expensive. The long coils of intestine that animals carry to process raw food burn enormous amounts of energy just to keep running. The Harvard scientist Richard Wrangham argued that once fire pre-digested our food, that costly gut could shrink. And the energy it used to demand was freed up for something else entirely, for the brain. In his cooking hypothesis, Wrangham makes the case that cooked food is what fed the growth of the largest, most demanding brain we know of. It is an argument, not a settled fact, but it is a powerful one. A smaller gut, a richer diet, and more fuel pouring into the mind. Watch Flint stare into those flames now, chewing softened meat with a jaw that no longer has to labor all day. He does not know it, but the fire is quietly reshaping the body of the person who tends it. And here's the part that should unsettle you. That change did not stay optional. Over countless generations of eating cooked food, the human body wound itself around the flame so tightly that it lost the ability to run without it. Only humans on this planet depend on cooked food to survive. A wolf, a deer, a lion all thrive on the raw world, exactly as it is. Only humans reach the point where the fire was no longer a luxury, but a need built into the body itself. And that need did not stay back in Flint's world. It is sitting inside you right now. Every meal you have ever eaten was cooked or processed or softened by heat in some way, because your body quietly expects it. When people commit to a strict long-term raw diet, eating nothing but uncooked food, researchers have documented what happens. They tend to lose weight and struggle to hold it, no matter how much they eat, because their bodies simply cannot pull enough energy out of raw material to keep up. In one study of long-term raw food eaters, a large share of the women stopped menstruating altogether, their bodies deciding there was not enough fuel to spare for having children. That is how deep the dependence runs. The stove you flicked on this morning is not a convenience. It is the same ancient flame Flint carried on the end of a branch, still doing the exact same job it did 1,000,000 years ago, pre-digesting your dinner before your body ever has to. You never left that fire, you just moved it into your kitchen. So think about what you really are. You are the one creature on this whole planet that walked toward the thing everything else was born to flee, and never turned back. That fire is not behind you in some distant cave. It is inside every meal you have ever eaten, folded into the shape of your body, part of who you are, down to the fuel that keeps your mind running. The flame Flint carried on the end of a branch never went out. It just followed you home. But fire was only one of the enemies waiting in that ancient night. The dark itself was another. And here is a mystery almost nobody stops to ask. Out in a world with no roads, no maps, and no lights, how did people who could barely see their own hands almost never lose their way in the black? The answer to how they found their way through a darkness that would swallow you whole is waiting for you on your screen right now. Subscribe to Before History and keep walking back into the world you came from.